Good morning. The Women of Dare Whimsy welcome you to our weekly show, Between Us Girls. This week we're talking about meditations. What are they? How do they work? And how do they affect our daily lives? This morning we have Dr. Edith Johnston with us and Ms. Gail Roddy. We're looking so very forward to hearing how they use meditations in their life. Between Us Girls is a weekly show. We gather as creative and gifted women who just share daily experiences and how we survive being a high creative or a well-able person. This week, we're looking so forward to hearing from you as well. On our blog at darewhimsy.com, on Thursdays, we share what we call the Sister Post, a place where we just share our perspective on whatever the week's topic is. And we hope you'll share your perspective, too, in comments so that we can follow you home to your blog or website and learn from you as well. None of us are gurus here, and we look forward to knowing you and forming this community of gifted and creative women and sharing our common experiences. Good morning, Dr. Edith. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Miss Sweetie. It's great to be here with all the women of Dare Whimsy. It's always enjoyable. And today's topic is, like Sweetie was saying, is meditation. I think one of the biggest things that I like to encourage as I work with different people and to work with myself is to give myself permission that it doesn't have to be an elaborate operation to be able to go into meditation. Meditation is looking at taking a pause of my thoughts, a pause of my ideas, a pause of my activities, a pause of my emotions, but taking that time out and going quiet so that I can gain clarity and be able to then have the opportunity to look at all the perspectives and look at all the possibilities at that moment, or just be there for that moment and just enjoy and be present in that moment. Sometimes, for me, it's a walking meditation so that I'm very present in the moment and going through, down the streets, through the woods, through the little path that's got trees alongside of it, whatever it is, so that I'm paying attention to the details of that moment. Not my thoughts, not anything that's going to happen in the future, not anything that's happened in the past, just that moment for me, and being aware of colors, lights. That's my biggest fascination at the moment, is the changing in light, because I do a lot of walking in the evening, but I've also done walking at noontime, and that gives you a different shadow, a different perspective. So being able to be in that moment. I talk a lot about taking a breath, because that is a way to physically create being able to take a pause. Take that moment and pause. And by breathing, then we have oxygen going to our brain, and guess what? Our brains work a whole lot better with a little bit of oxygen, and it gives us greater clarity then because it's working even better and smoother. So let's go on with some others. And Gail, what's your experience with meditation?
Thanks, Edith. So great to see all the ladies here. I think you said it. Edith, that it needs to be, we need to focus on meditation not being some elaborate thing, because I think that scares a lot of people who may not understand what meditation is, who don't really recognize that we all meditate at all times. But it's kind of a scary thing. We think of someone sitting on a mountaintop in the lotus position meditating. It doesn't have to be that at all. And as you explained, Edith, a meditation can be a walk. Anytime where you are mindful of exactly what's going on around you is a meditation as far as I'm concerned. I woke up this morning at 2 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep. I felt alert and ready to get up. I wasn't frustrated that I woke up and couldn't go to sleep. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to lie here and enjoy the silence. For you, Edith, it's visual, it's lights. For me, it's auditory. I love to be in meditation where I hear either what sounds are around me, or at 2 o'clock in the morning, there were no sounds. And it's a challenging meditation to keep from letting my gifted mind go off into what am I going to be involved in 5 hours when I'm awake, or what I was involved in 5 hours ago when I was awake. to just be in those still moments and listen to the silence is invigorating, relaxing, and fulfilling for me to do. And sure enough, the next thing I knew, it was 5 o'clock and I was waking up. So sometime in that meditation, I fell into a deep, restful sleep. So as you said, Edith, meditation does not have to be anything very formal. It can be something as simple as taking time out during those moments when stillness comes up and take a breath, because meditation releases stress, it brings down your blood pressure, it does all these physical things that allow you to stay in touch with yourself, to fill yourself up when you're depleted, to de-stress yourself when you're stressed, and then to go on to the next tasks or experiences that are in front of you. That's a good thing, I think. Sarah, welcome. What have you got to say about meditation? I can't wait to hear.
Well, I absolutely love meditation. I love being able to just be in a zone where I can be mindful of what's going on. And for me, it's been a long practice of learning to meditate because I have a mind that just wants to race and race and race. And that opportunity to meditate has allowed me to slow down. In fact, I have something I call stoplight meditations, and I actually prefer taking the back roads than taking the highway, even though the highway would probably be faster, because the stoplights allow me to pause. And so I'm waiting there, and I can choose to take some deep breaths, and I can choose to think what's going to happen next. Whereas if I'm on the freeway, I always have to be conscious of the cars behind me, the cars in front of me, who's merging. And so I love this. I love taking the back roads because there's a forced stop where I'm protected. There's not going to be anybody that's going to bump into me because we're all stopped at the same time. And so I've really enjoyed that, and I've been practicing that a lot in the last few days. I've done some major power shopping on Friday and Monday and yesterday, and I'm almost done with Christmas shopping. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to have some restful times with my children home. So while they're in school, I'm getting all those things done that stress people out during the holiday season. And so I used stoplights. I used parking. Every time I would park at a new store, I would breathe and be mindful of that, what I was doing in that store, and really think about the people I was going to be connecting with, and asking for an opportunity to bless them and to smile and to be open to engagement. And that opportunity created some really wonderful experiences yesterday. I met two women named Maria at Costco while I was there, and one was from Italy, and we are totally friends now. One was from Italy and used to live in New York, different parts of New York. And I was drawn to her hat. I love hats, and she had this gorgeous, gorgeous hat, and she had very Italian features. And so I just said, I love your hat. Where did you get it? And we talked about hat collections, and then she told me a little bit about where she was from, because I said, wow, where are you from? Because I noticed her Italian accent. And then we kind of went our little ways in that moment of the store. But then later on, I saw her again. I said, Maria, I just think we need to connect a little bit more. Tell me more about you. And so we connected more deeply. And after we were leaving, we exchanged phone numbers, and she gave me the classic Italian kiss, and she's like, we are friends. And so we set up a time to have tea and get together, and I didn't know until we started the conversation that her husband died this August, and that she's never had children, and this woman is just very lonely. And so my choice to be mindful and to set the intention to meet friends and to smile at people and to bless people with just positive engagement during usually a very stressful time of the year, with people thinking about Thanksgiving and rushing to get deadlines done and thinking about things and not really being present. That choice to be present now I now have a friend from Italy, and she doesn't have any other family here. and her husband just is gone recently, and I can't imagine what that would be like. Actually, I can with recent things in our family, but she lives really close to me, and so I can foresee us getting together to make Italian recipes, and maybe I said maybe we'll even go to Italy together, and she kind of smiled. But that meditation for me as I was shopping allowed me to gain another friend, and actually I met another Maria in the cheese aisle, and she was from Russia. And we were talking about goat cheese, and I found out she's from Belarus. And Belarus is in the middle part, I believe, of the Russian, of once the, the USSR. And I was there in 1991 as a youth ambassador, and I fell in love with that part of the country. It's absolutely beautiful. And I said, really, Belarus? I was there in 1991. And she immediately, her eyes lit up. She was so thrilled. And she lives probably a few streets over from me. And had we not had that conversation about goat cheese, and she actually started the conversation with me. I was looking for goat cheese, and she said, wow, this other one is better. It has cranberries. And so we talked. And that allowed me to have another friend named Maria. So we can have meditations be really simple in our car. We can have them at stoplights. We can have, I also love hypnosis meditations. I have one I do every single day that allows me to take a really wonderful deep REM nap for about 45 minutes a day, and it is just super calming. So there's lots of ways we can do it. It can be as simple as one word. And I love using one-word meditation such as still and then nest. So you're in breathing the still part, and you're out breathing the nest. And it's just one word. And so you're using the breath work to break that word apart and focus on what you want to achieve, which is stillness. So let's go back to Sweetie and get some more information. I feel like I've talked a lot, so thanks for letting me share. This is one of my most passionate topics.
Meditation, for those of you who don't know anything about meditation, the word simply means to create an inner space and calm, to have clarity or to gain clarity by stopping the intensity of thoughts that your mind is running all the time, to come to a place of quiet. Meditation is simply a focused way of stopping external thoughts while finding peace. One of the things that we all work from as gifted and creative women is our minds are just constantly going. And they're usually on multiple channels. You're thinking about what's for dinner. You're thinking about the project in front of you. You're thinking about, wow, I really need to up my exercise. Or all the things that are going on in your mind. And that can be exhausting. And sometimes it can be very scattering. And so to increase the ability to slow down, to more focus on the things that you want in life, meditation is a great tool to get in the habit of doing, to just literally calm it down, to find an inner peace, to find an inner perspective, so that no matter what's going on outside of you, that you're coming from a place of calm and peacefulness internally to face whatever you're facing. Meditation is not connected to any religion, or specifically doesn't need to be a religious practice. It can simply be a very neutral practice of choosing to slow down and be concerned and observant of your thoughts. For some people, the word control comes in space. If they look to a place of meditation to control their thoughts, to start slowing down how many things are coming at them, and to pay attention to what's coming at them. For others, meditation is a choice to stop the thinking, to just be, to experience where they are. For others, it's like Sarah said, it's a focus on a specific activity. She wants to meditate on what it would look like. We've heard of athletes that meditate on the perfect pitch or the perfect golf swing, and they focus on that inside their mind, exercising and executing in their mind every step of the way, so that when they get to the actual space of playing golf or playing baseball, they execute their activities more fully. Very many times, meditation is that way. In the classroom, very often we teach very little children, and high schoolers and college kids too, how to focus on the simple steps of not stressing out before a test. They may have had a hyper response to tests or to anxiety that goes with evaluations, and sometimes we teach a certain system of meditations of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 to help them calm down. Or we may use breathing techniques to help people become aware that they're not breathing deeply when they're stressed or anxious, and that causes some problems by itself when we don't oxygenate our bodies. Pain is another thing that sometimes meditation can really help, that you can learn to be inside yourself to create that inner space where you can learn to block the pain of a physical pain. Meditation has many practices and usages in other people's lives, and there are meditations that go to songs. There are chanting meditations where the rhythm helps people relieve their need to keep thinking about, oh, I need to change the laundry, oh, I need to do something else. The chanting or the rhythmic pieces of it. Sometimes it's visual. Sarah does a beautiful thing with meditations by her voice. Her voice is very soothing, and so very often our friends will have her do tapes or MP3s of meditations that help them get to a calmer place in their life, or calmer perspective in their life. But to create that inner space and clarity, to calm your mind and stay at peace, is the definition of meditation. For me personally, it's music. I use meditation music, or I go play the piano. Certain pieces, the classical pieces particularly, help me take to a place of mindfulness and to empty my mind of whatever stress or overthinking I'm doing at the time. If I don't have the ability or the space to play physically at the piano, I have tapes of that or CDs on my phone, MP3s on my phone, that I can go to the same place because I've trained my mind to hear that music and to know that's a place where I can relax and let go of that space. Gail, in the space of meditations, how do you answer the people who are concerned that that's maybe brainwashing, or they're worried about this as a religious experience, or this is somehow going to be against what they believe? How do you answer that?
Well, I think you kind of answered it, sweetie, by saying it really is something that's very personal. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of any religious experience. And for those who think it might be, well, I mean, I guess if you want to believe that it is, that will be true for you. But it is not. As all of us have mentioned, we take our meditations very, very personally in our experience. Sarah stopping at a stop sign and just simply breathing rather than being on the freeway where you're constantly holding your breath, wondering is the person next to you is merging texting at the same time. You can stop and take that moment and just breathe. We all have to breathe, whether we consider that a religious experience or not. We all have to breathe in and out. We all have to focus on something that brings us peace. And whatever that may be for you, that's just fine. Meditation is simply another way of bringing peace to your mind in the moment. I know for myself, you mentioned about music. For me, I've found for years that ironing shirts is simply something that takes my brain, my gifted out there brain, and just brings it down to this focus on ironing shirts, the rhythm of you do the sleeves first, then you do the back, and then you do the sides over and over again. After 7 or 8 shirts like that, my mind is so quieted. My blood pressure is just down and calm. Everything about me is calm after that. And yet my husband and even my mom just can't understand that, because to them that's another chore that would bring anxiety and grief. They may do it, but it wouldn't bring pleasure to them. And for me, it's just the ultimate stop and breathe and get in that rhythm of ironing and with my breath. So I hope that answers the question. I think that you can believe something that might be negative if that's where you choose to take it, but I don't think that it's necessary to go there. It's simply a way to bring you peace, and I'm all about more peace in the world.
I agree, and part of what I talk to when I talk with parents, because often I am met in public school and private school situations, in client situations, where they're very concerned about mind control, because if they look up the word meditation, very often there's the word mind control involved in it. But I like to explain to parents that it's like taking a child to a beach, and the child sees a sandcastle and they're delighted, and then a wave hits it and they're devastated. That's everything focused on an external locus of control. That means that you're going to ride with the wind. If the wind's blowing hard, you're going to feel blown hard. If it stops blowing, you're going to feel like you need a wind. All of that's external circumstances. And when you come into meditation, you're helping children learn that some of those external circumstances are just an illusion. They're not truly happy because there's a castle there, and devastated because the wind or the rain or the wave knocked it out. It's just a happening. And so many times in a child's life, there's 100,000 happenings a day, and they're emotionally exhausted by the end of the day if everything's based on an external locus of control. So part of it is, and for me in the classroom, is if someone has dyslexia, or if someone has dysgraphia or something where it makes it difficult, that's something they really can't control. So when somebody asks them to look harder or to stare closely at words that are backwards to them in their mind, they don't need to emotionally go to that space. That's something external. And the meditation can help them stay calm while the teacher asks, why aren't you trying harder, or something. And they can then use their words to explain that trying harder won't solve the physical problem of dyslexia. Or it gives a parent the space where they're very tired from a multi-handicapped child, or they're very tired from just the rigmarole that goes with multiple doctors' meetings and multiple doctors' things, but they can go inside themselves in the meditation and find that peaceful place and then deal with the external locus of control issues without having to engage in the trauma or the drama that's going on. Just because someone else is having dramatic experiences doesn't mean you have to engage it. And part of that is not engaged by using meditations to remember who you are and where you are and why their need for chaos isn't necessarily your need to plug into it. And I think meditation is a great way to keep finding center, to keep coming to a place of that peacefulness, keep coming to that place of saying, is this really that big a deal? Or is that happening and it really doesn't affect me except it's sad it happened? That's I love to take a child with the sandcastle thing in a classroom where you have like a sand table, and to show them when the child's screaming the first time that the castle got wiped out, they're not hurt. You may be disappointed, but you're not hurt. There's nothing to scream about. It happened to the sand, not to you. And so learning that they can separate what they see and what they hear from what they feel is sometimes different, particularly if you're in a really negative or toxic environment. You may not be able to change that toxic environment, but if you can learn to look within yourself and say, is this me or is this somebody else's need to do this at me? Then you can help a child get to a different place until they can get themselves to a different place. Dr. Edith, we have about 8 minutes left. When are meditations appropriate and when are they not appropriate? And what are the ways that you use meditations with our missing in action and multi-talents?
Well, thank you, sweetie. One of the things that when it comes to meditations with people with overexcitabilities, hypersensitivities, and things like this, is like we've been talking, it's not a constant state that you're in, because life happens, and that's part of living, is to experience the fullness of life. All of your emotions, the high ones, the excitement, the happiness, and the devastations and the sadness, that's part of living and being engaged in life. But coming back to the point of knowing that calm, that peace, that center point, being able to know how to reach there and be able to choose to go to that spot as a pause, as a moment, to be able to then reach back out into life is really important. So that's one of the reasons, as we've all talked about different ways of meditation, it's really important as I work with people, okay, at what point, what is it you're doing or not doing, because we're looking at it at both ends of the spectrum, moving meditation and as well as sedentary quiet type meditation. But where do you feel the most quiet, the most content, the most centered, the most calm, the most at peace? Music may be it. Someone riding a bicycle, that may be their thing, to be able to go out on the road and just ride and ride and ride. Okay, now take that experience, find it, and return to it. As Sarah was saying, you know, the meditations, the tapes, and the hypnotic meditations, but you can do that also in the sense of identifying at what point you feel calm and peaceful, creating that vision, knowing that vision, feeling, going into that whole experience of that moment, so you have it with you at any moment and any time. It gives you that internal control. when external control things are totally chaos. So that you can say, okay, I need this moment to breathe. I need this moment to return to sitting under that tree by that stream at that point on that mountaintop. Or I need this moment, that music, that sound. That always brings me to that calm and peaceful point. So it's very important to have it as a tool, which gives you that internal control again, to be able to revisit as frequently as you desire or need to your point of center. And so knowing that the pendulum will swing, that life goes on, and that's part of living, isn't to engage fully, but to know that you have that center point to go to, whether it is a child or whether it's adult. And adults with overexcitability sometimes look at or may have, again, dual diagnosis of bipolar or something like that. So you're going through the extremes from one end to the other on a frequent basis. Knowing where your calm point is and being able to return to it. Sarah, do you have any final words to share with us also?
Well, I think what I would love to share is that it's important for each of us to try things out. When I first started with meditation, I could only do it for like 10 seconds, it seemed like, and I felt like a failure. And then I would put a timer on for a minute, and then I would try 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then I would gradually increase, and meditation and practices of learning how to calm your body down and to still your mind, especially when you are someone with, ADHD tendencies or someone that really, really goes at a fast pace, or high energy person, it might take practice. And so don't beat yourself up when you're learning to meditate because you can't quiet your mind the first time. It might take practice. But as you do it more and more, you will be able to not only quiet your mind, but at any given moment, you'll be able to bring stillness to yourself so that the things around you don't affect you physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Because the opportunity to center yourself protects you in the moment, but it also allows your internal organs to be at a place where they're going to perform better. And so it's a great thing to just keep trying.
Those are all great answers from everyone today. I know so many of the people I work with do not know the term meditation. They've heard it on the way by or on social media, but they really don't know how to explore it. And for me, the simple way to say it is just, it's a place to find center. Meditation helps you become aware of when you're not feeling calm or when you are feeling calm, when you're not feeling healthy or when you are feeling healthy. So many times we are going at life 24/7, social media, the needs of the family, the needs of ourselves, the needs of our employment, that we don't check in with ourselves. And meditation practices, even if they're just 1 simple minute long, help us to check in with ourselves and to see where we are, and to find a place of saying, even if we're not where we want to be, but to recognize, gosh, I'm feeling a little stressed today. I might need some more timeouts. Or to recognize that, gosh, that mindfulness of just going to a peaceful place, of listening to the meditation, or to go to a quiet place in our mind is a very pleasant place. I might like to visit there more often or learn how to use that tool in my daily life when life is stressful. It's just a great way to find a different level of health, and to give yourself some self-protection during stressful times, to recognize you can go to that place, a meditation recording, or your own method of looking at a certain picture, or maybe your own method of breaking things down into step-by-step mindfully, like ironing. For me, I'm a very high-active person, so a lot of times my meditations involve doing something, because when I'm physically doing something busy, it allows my mind to get full in this peace space. If I had to keep my body and my hands and everything else still, it would be a lot harder for me with the high energy I have. Meditations are a great way to involve seeing where you are in life and finding a happier place to be and a more peaceful place to exist. We'll be writing more about this on Thursday morning at our blog at darewhimsy.com, Between Us Girls. Each week, the people who were here and some of our friends who are not here each week because of their work experiences, share what meaningfulness comes from them from meditation, and we'll probably share some good links of where to go to find out more information. We hope you'll join us there. Thanks for being with us today. Thank you, ladies, for being with us today. Edith and Gail and Sarah, you always add so much to the conversation. I appreciate your presence. Talk to you soon.